Welcome to the absolute peak. Seriously, you've made it. Today's explainer is the ultimate capstone chapter of our Wealth Masterclass. Across 30 continuous chapters, we've been working methodically together to literally dismantle every single layer of the economic matrix. And now, we've finally arrived at the absolute summit of the Sovereign Masterclass series. This is exactly where all that groundwork, all that complex structuring, and all your strategic planning culminate. So let's just dive right into this and uncover what it truly means to build a perpetual empire.
What we're looking at here is the ultimate state of financial and operational existence. We call it the omnipresent sovereign. And at this stage, your empire fundamentally transforms. It's not just a standard business anymore. It ceases to be just a collection of random assets or a set of operational systems. It becomes a completely self-sustaining perpetual economic force. And honestly, the most vital part of this whole definition is that it operates completely independently of space, time, and human mortality. It's 100% self-reliant.
To really grasp this ultimate economic state, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the final peak, then move into perpetual capital synthesis, followed by invisible architectural authority, total absolute freedom, and finally, command your destiny.
All right, part 1, the final peak, dismantling the economic matrix.
Before we really unpack the perpetual empire itself, we just have to take a second to recognize the sheer scale of the structural foundation you've laid over the previous 29 chapters. Think about it. In Phase 1, we started by breaking down the mechanics of fiat currency decay and asymmetric risk, right? We had to understand the deep flaws in the baseline system. Then in Phase 2, we designed those irresistible high-ticket offers, automated your client onboarding, and engineered some incredibly robust 8-figure scaling architectures. Phase 3 was all about protection, building out unhackable, multi-jurisdictional fortresses and multi-generational dynasty trusts. Phase 4 brought us into the physical realm with off-grid physical infrastructure. And finally, Phase 5 shot us into the future with autonomous algorithmic enterprises operating at the speed of artificial intelligence. You have literally dismantled the matrix, layer by layer.
Moving right along to Part 2, Perpetual Capital Synthesis.
Look, the old way of doing things is essentially obsolete at this level. On the traditional side, in the old world, wealth is incredibly static. It just sits there in accounts, totally vulnerable to inflation, sudden regulatory shifts, and brutal market volatility. It's basically sitting around waiting to be attacked or degraded. But on the flip side, we have the perpetual empire. Here, your capital operates in a state of constant automated synthesis. Your wealth isn't being generated by your own personal sweat equity anymore, and it certainly isn't dictated by the whims of the market. It's an active, living, breathing engine.
So you might be wondering, where exactly is all this synthesis coming from? Well, your global infrastructure utilizes what we call continuous yield harvesters. This setup continuously harvests yield from an incredibly diverse array of sources. We're talking about decentralized liquidity protocols, those autonomous algorithmic businesses you built, real estate debt instruments, and high-margin software networks. Now, these assets might work entirely independently of one another, but they all serve the exact same overarching function. They are continuously harvesting incoming capital flow directly into your empire.
And the real magic? It's in how this capital is managed once it's actually harvested. Step 1 is exactly what we just talked about, harvesting that yield globally. But Step 2 is where the incoming flow is automatically routed through smart contract logic. And then in Step 3, it flows directly into tax-optimized sovereign reserves and hard asset acquisitions. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this entire 3-step process happens without requiring a single manual command from you. It is synthesized continuously by an interconnected global framework that never sleeps, never stalls, and never ever degrades.
Which brings us to Part 3, Invisible Architectural Authority.
I absolutely love this quote. And honestly, adopting this mindset is absolutely vital for you moving forward. The highest form of power is not displayed through loud branding, public accolades, or personal notoriety. The true omnipresent sovereign operates completely behind the scenes. They are so far away from the glare of public scrutiny. While everyone else exhausts themselves just trying to be seen, true unshakable power is entirely invisible.
So instead of competing for surface-level attention, the omnipresent sovereign controls the underlying pipes, the protocols, and the platforms that entire industries literally rely upon. You own the private data pipelines, you own the compute nodes, you hold the sovereign land trusts, and you control the foundational software layers. While they play the game, you're the invisible architect. You own the very board the game is played on.
And because you own that underlying infrastructure, you get to quietly collect non-negotiable economic rents from the fundamental building blocks of the modern economy, Because you operate purely behind the scenes, you remain completely invisible to public scrutiny. And let me tell you, this grants you total protection from legal liabilities and makes you completely immune to all the political noise out there. Yet, despite being utterly invisible, your economic leverage touches every single corner of the market. You are everywhere and nowhere all at once.
All right, part 4, total absolute freedom.
Let's get something straight. True sovereignty is not merely having unlimited money. Money is just a tool, right? True sovereignty is reaching a state where absolutely no external force on earth can compel you to act against your will, compromise your principles, or surrender your time. It is an impenetrable shield against any kind of external compulsion.
So how is this level of absolute freedom actually achieved? It's done by completely decoupling and perfectly insulating your footprints across 4 key pillars: personal, legal, digital, and financial. Because these footprints are entirely insulated from one another, you finally own your time down to the microsecond. You are completely free to build whatever you want to build, live exactly where you choose to live, unconditionally support the causes you believe in, and pass down an unassailable legacy to future generations. This right here is exactly what it looks like when you have conquered the economic matrix in its entirety.
And finally, part 5, command your destiny.
The old world of economic survival, client chasing, and that constant low-level financial anxiety, it's dead. It is entirely behind you now. This 30-part masterclass is now fully complete. You possess the complete, unedited, ultimate blueprint to build, scale, protect, and perpetuate absolute economic and personal freedom.
So, we arrive at the final question of this explainer, and truly, it's the only question left for you to answer. Are you ready to deploy your perpetual empire, command your sovereign destiny, and reign supreme forever? The blueprint is in your hands. The matrix is dismantled. It is officially time for you to step into your ultimate power and leave the old world behind for good. Thank you so much for taking this incredible journey through the masterclass with me. Now, go out there and build your empire.